So firstly, we always are talking about paying yourself. We want to make sure that you are getting rewarded for the work that you are doing in your business, and we want to make that a priority. So in standard accounting terms, the formula for accounting is your income, your revenue, minus expenses equals profit. So profit is left till the end. It's an afterthought. In Profit First, we reverse that. So this does a couple of things. Firstly, yes, it means that you get to put profit aside first. And what I do always say here is we don't mean putting profit aside at the expense of not paying other bills. We are talking about starting small with a small 1% of income into your profit account, which is going to teach you and tell your amazing brain that you are prioritizing profit. And that is the first thing in the business that you're going to do. 1% is not going to make or break, as I said, but it's going to start getting you into that habit and building the business so it works for you. Today, I'm talking about the basic fundamentals of Profit First. What is it and why should you consider using it in your business? So in traditional accounting, we know that profit is what's left over in business. The problem is we know when we wait for something to be left over at the end, there's often not much of it left. And we see that time and time again in business after business after business, all across Australia and New Zealand and across the globe. So if you have ever felt like your business is making money, but somehow there's just not quite enough left at the end of the week, the month, the year for yourself, then this episode is for you. So what I hear business owners say all of the time is that I'll take my wages or my profit at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year even, but there isn't anything left. And that happens time after time after time. I also hear that, I'm super busy. I'm making sales. We're doing the work. We're flat out. But the bank account actually doesn't reflect that. And in fact, in many instances, looks worse than what it did when we weren't as busy. And the other one that I hear all the time is I want to grow my business and I don't have any money to be able to get me through. I can barely scrape by as it is. So if any of those sound familiar to you, just know that you are not alone. If you take one thing away from this podcast, is that I want to make sure that you know that you are not alone in your cash flow struggles. You are not alone in working really hard and having not much to show for it. There is hundreds of thousands of businesses all across the globe, and particularly here in Australia and New Zealand, who are doing all the work and not having anything left to show for it. And what that ends up doing is making for a very stressed, overworked, not very fun business owner. And that is what we want to change. So what I want you to have a think about is what if we could flip that script? And what about thinking that you could always have profit no matter what stage you are in business? Or you could watch your bank account grow and know that it is financially healthy and it's not going to just slip away. And that you could think about having cash set aside for the downturns, for the quiet times, for when a client takes a little bit longer to pay you, but also for the fun things. If you do want to increase your own wages because you have some personal financial goals that you want to work with, or you do want to grow, how about you think about how do we build your business so that it is profitable so you can use the profit to fund that growth? So 3 key points that I want to talk to you about today around Profit First. So firstly, we always are talking about paying yourself. We want to make sure that you are getting rewarded for the work that you are doing in your business, and we want to make that a priority. So in standard accounting terms, the formula for accounting is your income, your revenue, minus expenses equals profit. So profit is left till the end. It's an afterthought. In Profit First, we reverse that. And how we like to look at the formula is revenue minus profit equals expenses. So this does a couple of things. Firstly, yes, it means that you get to put profit aside first. And what I do always say here is we don't mean putting profit aside at the expense of not paying other bills. We are talking about starting small with a small 1% of income into your profit account, which is going to teach you and tell your amazing brain that you are prioritizing profit. And that is the first thing in the business that you're going to do. 1% is not going to make or break, as I said, but it's going to start getting you into that habit and building the business so it works for you. And we're not leaving it as an afterthought anymore. We are prioritizing it and making sure that we are putting money aside for it. We likewise want to make sure that you are paying yourself properly, which the majority of business owners don't do. Or if you do, it is causing stress in other areas of the business. And we want to help you work that out so you can comfortably take whatever income you need from the business and know that you have a business that can support that now and into the future as well. So the second thing we do in Profit First is multiple bank accounts. Now, for those who are already aware about what Profit First is, but for those who are not, we talk about having multiple bank accounts, and every bank account has a specific purpose, and that we don't rob Peter to pay Paul. We don't take money from any of the other accounts to get us through. We want to see what the business is telling us financially, how it's running at the moment. And then we want to listen to the feedback that it is providing when there are bank accounts that don't quite have enough money in there to pay the bills and to pay all the debts and the liabilities that we have. And we want to listen to that. And then we want to take action. And we want to start working on the business. And where so many businesses default to is, I'll just make more sales. If I just win this big job, if I could just sell more, the problem will be solved. The problem is it usually makes it worse, not better. And by having multiple bank accounts, when set up correctly, will make it much, much easier to see where your business is and what you actually need to do to fix the business, not just automatically default to more sales. When you've got multiple bank accounts, yes, it does look like it could potentially be a bigger bookkeeping nightmare for you, but when set up properly, it absolutely is not. And the third thing I want to talk about with Profit First is reducing your expenses. Now, again, we are not talking about having to be stingy or tight or frugal. If that is how you want to run your business, go ahead, no problems at all. But for the majority of business owners, that doesn't feel very fun. And we want to make sure that we can help you build a really fun business. So when we're talking about reducing expenses, we are just talking about having a look at where your money is going at the moment. Where has it gone? Where is it going? Is there things that we can stop spending your money on now? And sometimes it's just for a short period of time, and sometimes it's for a much longer period of time, and sometimes it's forever. We don't need to be spending money on certain expenses. And so having an awareness around your expenses and knowing what money has to go out and when it needs to go out allows you to just have a much clearer understanding of what the business needs to make. It also means that there's far less chance of having surprise bills pop up because you know exactly what needs to be paid and when it needs to be paid. So to go over and recap, instead of taking your profit last or not taking it at all, we want you to take your profit first. Start with 1% into your profit account every single week, fortnight, month, whatever your time frame of getting invoices in and money into your bank account. We want you to think about setting up multiple bank accounts to help you control that cash flow and give you a really clear idea of what money is where. So then you can look at what expenses you have coming out and if there is going to be a shortfall as well. And we want to move away from just living like week to week. Now, is it a magic wand that can solve all your problems in a very short space of time? No, it is not. But is it a system when set up correctly and is successfully run can it change the complete way that you look at your finances and the complete profitability of your business? Absolutely. The key is that you just need to get started. And by listening to this podcast, reading the book, listening to the book is a great first start. So, if you are already using Profit First in your business and it doesn't seem to be working as well as it should be, or if you haven't started using Profit First at all, then either is fine. What I want to do for you and what I want to ask you to do today is take the first step. If you don't have any bank accounts opened at all, open up a profit account and transfer 1% of your income each time that comes into your account. And if it is coming in multiple times each day, then we suggest starting with choose a day, how much money is coming to your account, and put 1% in. For some larger businesses who get less invoices come in, then you may look at a fortnightly basis or a monthly basis, depending on your type of business. If you are already doing Profit First, then I highly recommend, if you haven't been consistently putting your profit percentage of 1% away, then please start now. Consistency is key. If you haven't been consistently putting money aside, as I said, start with profit, make sure you're putting your GST side away as well, and then you can slowly add each bank account over time if you want to take it slow and steady. And if you're the type of person who has it all set up ready to go, but haven't pulled, hasn't taken that step as to actually start doing the allocations, then I highly recommend that you go to profitfirstaustralia.com.au and go to the resources section where you'll see the information on the instant assessment, and have a step through that guide and follow that assessment so you can work out what your allocation percentages are. If at any point in time you ever have any questions around Profit First, you can always reach out to us at profitfirstaustralia.com.au. If you are a Instagram person, we are also there, Facebook, YouTube, all the usual places. So please go and find us on your channel that you prefer, and that way you can be updated when there's a new episode that will come out, as well as other hints and tips and so on that we share there regularly.